Imagine a judge, revered for his integrity, slamming his gavel to strike down a president's executive order, only to be accused of corruption moments later. "You dare lecture me about the law?" Judge Samuel Hargrove roared at Attorney General Pam Bondi in a Washington, D.C. courtroom in March 2025. What if his fiery defiance was hiding a darker truth, a conspiracy reaching the highest levels of power, with one woman risking everything to uncover it? Bondi didn't flinch. She straightened her posture and replied, "With respect, Your Honor, the law doesn't bend to tenure. It bends to truth." The tension was palpable. Hargrove, a veteran judge with a reputation for constitutional rigor, leaned forward, his silver hair gleaming under the lights. "The truth is, this executive order violates the Fourth Amendment. It's an overreach, and I'm striking it down. Case dismissed." With a single slam of his gavel, Hargrove ended the hearing. Trump's order, a surveillance expansion targeting political dissidents under the guise of national security, was dead, and Bondi was left to pick up the pieces. But something about the ruling didn't sit right with her. Hargrove's reasoning seemed flimsy, his outburst too theatrical. In the gallery, a young woman named Clara Hargrove, Samuel's daughter, a law student and activist, watched with a troubled expression. She twisted her hands in her lap, her eyes darting between her father and Bondi. The nation saw a judge standing up to executive power, but Bondi saw a man hiding something. Back at the Department of Justice, Bondi called in her investigator, Ethan Moore, a young but brilliant digital forensics expert. "Ethan," she said, her voice sharp with determination, "I want you to dig into Hargrove. Financials, communications, anything. That ruling wasn't about the Constitution. I'd bet my career on it." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "You think he's got an agenda?" "I think he's hiding something," Bondi replied, "and we're going to find out what." For days, Ethan worked tirelessly, sifting through records while Bondi prepared for an appeal. Hargrove's public image was spotless, a judge who'd spent decades upholding the law, but Ethan's persistence paid off. "Got something," he announced, bursting into Bondi's office with a printout in hand. Hargrove received a wire transfer, $200,000, 2 days before the ruling. "It's untraceable, routed through a shell company in the Caymans." Bondi's eyes narrowed. "An inheritance, maybe? He's got family money." "No way," Ethan said, shaking his head. "His parents died broke and his wife's a schoolteacher. This isn't family money, Pam. This is a payoff." The word hung in the air like a storm cloud. A payoff meant corruption, and corruption meant Hargrove's ruling wasn't about principle, it was about power. But who was behind it? Bondi needed more. She couldn't confront Hargrove with just a bank record. He'd deny it, and she'd look like a sore loser. She needed hard evidence, something that would force the truth into the open. That night, Bondi received a call from a blocked number. A young woman's voice came through, hesitant but resolute. "Ms. Bondi, this is Clara Hargrove. We need to talk." Bondi was taken aback. Clara, the judge's daughter, reaching out to her. They'd never spoken, but Bondi had seen her in court, looking anxious. "What's this about, Clara?" Bondi asked. "Not over the phone," Clara replied. "Meet me at the Rusty Anchor, 9 p.m. Come alone." Bondi agreed, though she knew it was a risk. At 9 p.m. she met Clara at the Rusty Anchor, a dive bar on the edge of D.C. Clara was already there, her brown hair pulled back, her eyes darting nervously. "I love my father," Clara said, her voice trembling, "but he's not the man I thought he was. He's been meeting with Senator Kline. I think Kline's got him on a leash." Bondi leaned forward, her mind racing. Senator Kline was a powerful figure, a vocal critic of Trump, and rumored to be planning a presidential run. If he was involved, this wasn't just about Hargrove. It was a political conspiracy. "What kind of leash?" Bondi asked. Clara slid a USB drive across the table. "Photos," she said. "My dad and Kline meeting at a hotel last week. There's more, but I can't get to it without risking him finding out. I'm betraying my own father, Ms. Bondi. Don't make me regret this." "Why are you telling me this, Clara?" Bondi asked. "Why not go public?" "Because I still want to save him," Clara said, her voice breaking. If Kline's blackmailing him, maybe you can stop it. But if this goes public, my dad's career is over. So is mine." Bondi took the drive, her resolve hardening. "I'll do what I can," she said. "But if your father's dirty, I can't promise to protect him." Clara nodded, her hands trembling. "I know." Back at her office, Bondi plugged in the USB drive. The photos showed Hargrove and Kline in a hotel lounge, their expressions tense. A timestamp on the images confirmed the meeting happened the day before the wire transfer. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a lead. "Ethan," Bondi called, handing him the drive. "I need you to find Kline. We're going to catch him in the act." Ethan grinned. "Stakeout time?" "Stakeout time," Bondi replied. The next night, Bondi and Ethan were parked outside Kline's office in a nondescript sedan. It was past midnight when Hargrove's car pulled up. He stepped out, looking haggard, and went inside. Minutes later, raised voices echoed through the bug Ethan had planted, a legal gray area, but they were past caring. "You promised me protection," Hargrove shouted. "If this gets out, I'm finished." Kline's voice was cold, calculating. "You'll do what I say, Samuel, or that bribery scandal from '98 goes public. You think your daughter will ever look at you again?" Bondi and Ethan exchanged a glance. Hargrove had taken a bribe years ago and Kline was using it to control him. This was bigger than they'd thought. Ethan recorded every word, and by the time Hargrove stormed out, they had enough to bury Kline, and maybe Hargrove too. But Bondi wanted to give Hargrove a chance to come clean. The next morning, she requested a private meeting in his chambers. Hargrove agreed, though his tone was icy. "Ms. Bondi," he said, "this is highly irregular. What do you want?" "I know about the money," Bondi said, cutting to the chase. $200,000, wired to your account before the ruling. I also know about Kline. You're being blackmailed, aren't you?" Hargrove's face went pale, but he recovered quickly. "That's absurd," he said. "The money was an inheritance. I don't know what you're talking about with Kline." "Don't lie to me," Bondi snapped. "I have photos, recordings, everything. You struck down that executive order because Kline told you to, not because of the Constitution. You've betrayed your oath, Judge." Hargrove stood, his hands shaking. "Get out," he said. "You have no proof, and I won't be intimidated by baseless accusations." Bondi left, but she wasn't done. She filed a motion to recuse Hargrove from the case, attaching the evidence they'd gathered. The hearing was set for the following week, and it promised to be a spectacle. Bondi spent every moment preparing, knowing Hargrove would fight dirty. The day of the hearing arrived, and the courtroom was packed with journalists, activists, and even a few senators. Hargrove took the bench, his expression unreadable. Bondi stood to present her motion. "Your Honor," she began, "new evidence has come to light suggesting a conflict of interest. We have financial records showing a $200,000 payment to Judge Hargrove, as well as photographic evidence of his meetings with Senator Victor Kline, a known opponent of the administration. We believe Judge Hargrove is being coerced, and we request his recusal." The gallery erupted, but Hargrove slammed his gavel. "Order!" he shouted. Then he turned to Bondi, his eyes blazing. "This is a witch hunt, Ms. Bondi. You're accusing me of corruption with no proof. I won't stand for this." Before Bondi could respond, Clara stood up from the gallery. "I have proof," she said, her voice trembling but clear. She walked to the witness stand, ignoring her father's shocked expression. "I'm Clara Hargrove, and I've seen the evidence of my father's meetings with Senator Victor Kline. I also have documents proving Kline is blackmailing him with a past scandal, a bribery case from 1998. Hargrove's face crumpled. "Clara, no," he whispered. "I'm sorry, Dad," Clara said, tears in her eyes. "But I can't let you destroy yourself, or the law." The courtroom descended into chaos. Hargrove banged his gavel, but no one listened. Bondi called Ethan to the stand next, playing the recording of Kline's threats. The evidence was undeniable, and by the end of the day, Hargrove had no choice but to recuse himself. Kline was arrested that night, charged with extortion and conspiracy, but the events didn't end there. Hargrove requested a meeting with Bondi after the hearing. He looked like he'd aged a decade in a day. "I owe you an apology," he said, his voice hollow. "I let Kline control me because I was afraid of losing my legacy, my daughter's respect. I thought I could outsmart him, but I was wrong." Bondi sat across from him, her expression a mix of anger and pity. "You betrayed your oath," she said, "but you can still make it right. Testify against Kline. Help us dismantle his network." Hargrove nodded slowly. "I will," he said, "and tell Clara I'm sorry. I don't deserve her forgiveness, but I need her to know." Bondi left, her mind heavy. The appeal went through and the executive order was reinstated, but the victory felt hollow. Hargrove's career was over. Clara's family was shattered, and Bondi couldn't shake the feeling that Kline's arrest was just the beginning. A few weeks later, Bondi was called to testify before Congress about judicial reform. She sat at the witness table, her voice steady. "The judiciary is the backbone of our democracy," she said, "but it's only as strong as the people who serve it. We need oversight, transparency, and accountability, because when the gavel falls, it casts a shadow, and we can't let that shadow hide the truth.